Hello everyone! I finally bought myself a set of hiking poles and I'm so glad I did. My first time using these poles made me realize that I should have bought these a long time ago. I'll explain in a bit how to adjust these poles and how to use them properly, and also I'll go over the tips that come with this set and what they're used for. I've seen people use hiking poles when we're out on hikes, but I never realized how helpful they are. Not only going down a steep incline, which is when I need these the most, but also when the ground is muddy or slippery and even icy. And these poles were a real bargain. They usually sell for around $30, but I was able to snag a pair for just under $20. So be on the lookout for when there are deals on Amazon. $20, how can you go wrong? This was my first set of hiking poles, so I didn't want to spend too much on better poles until I was convinced of their usefulness, and so far, so good. Let's take a look at what comes in the package, and then I'll explain how to set these up. This came in a generic Amazon box, and there is not much packaging here, which is fine. I don't need to pay for extra marketing and packaging, so let's see what's in the bag. And, okay, there is a bit of marketing in here. This little booklet explains the benefits of TrailBuddy, and it looks like they have a Facebook page as well. But there is some important information as well. Here is a guide to how long the poles should be based on your height, which is a good way to start, and then you can adjust the poles according to your individual preference. There are pole markings on the pole in both inches and centimeters, and when you set the pole length, you need to make sure the markings are the same numbers on the middle pole and the bottom pole. So this is the middle pole, and this is, let's say you have 48 inches is what I like it, so I put it over there, 48 inches. And then this is the bottom pole, and the bottom pole also has to be set at the same 48 inches. And there we have 48 inches. Okay, so be sure to set the middle pole and the bottom pole to the same number of inches. And then that will be, since it's 48 inches, that will be the entire length of this is 48 inches. The number is the full length of the pole from the handle to the tip. They also suggest you might want to have a shorter pole length when you are going uphill to avoid overstretching, and a longer pole length for going downhill to avoid bending over too much. That makes sense. Of course, this is highly personal since everyone has different abilities and disabilities, so you'll find what works for you and then use the number on the pole to set yourself up the same way each time. I'm 5'5" and I find that 48 inches is the best setting that works for me rather than the recommended 44 inches. It may be the way I hold my poles, but also it might be that I'm longer in the leg than I am in the torso, so my hip height at 5'5" may be different than someone else's also 5'5", but their hip height may be at a different place. Aside from using this chart, another way to set the pole height is to use the 90-degree elbow rule. When your arm is bent at the elbow at 90 degrees and parallel to the ground, that's the proper height for the pole. And if that works for you, go for it. Here you can see a young hiker with her arm bent at a 90-degree angle and parallel to the ground. This would be the proper pole height for her. And this young man is also gripping the pole at a 90-degree angle, parallel to the ground. Start with that setting and then adjust it according to your preference, or use the chart that comes in the instructions. The tips and carrying bag are all attached to the poles, so when you unpack this, the pieces will all stay together. And here's a nice card with an email address and a 3-year warranty. That's really nice, especially for $20. And a personal message from the TrailBuddy dog. And what's in here? A carry bag. That could be useful. And here are some more tips and mud baskets. And then attached to the poles are some snow baskets. And here you can see the extra set of rubber tips they give you. I saw on the Amazon site that they also sell extra rubber tips. I would guess that those will wear down the more you use them. We shall see. And in this bag are the mud baskets. The idea of the mud basket is to keep your poles from sinking too deep into the mud or if the ground is soft. And the snow baskets work the same way for snow. They keep the poles from sinking down too deep. And these rubber feet give a good grip on hard surfaces. They also act as shock absorbers without leaving any damage to the environment. The rubber tips screw on and off easily, and under the rubber tip is a pointy tip, which can be helpful to dig into the dirt and get a better foothold. Just be careful not to pack the poles with just the pointy tip. It could poke a hole in your clothing and also some of the things in your luggage, so put the rubber feet on when packing the poles in luggage. Okay, let's take these poles apart. I kept these clips just in case I wanted to use them again to keep the poles together when we're traveling. So now let's talk about the handle. I actually found this cork part to be very comfortable. The top of the handle is plastic and not so comfortable. So if you're pushing down on the pole, you might not like it. But if you're gripping the cork, that part feels very comfy. According to TrailBuddy, the cork molds to your hand. I guess it will after a lot of usage. Maybe, I suppose, but still, it's comfortable. The poles use these lever locks to lock the poles in place, and it's easy to take the poles apart, just like that, for traveling and put them back together again when you're ready to use them. Here you can see I've locked the middle pole this time at 44 inches, and then the bottom pole needs to be set to the same number, so let's put that at 44 inches. And there you go. Both the middle pole and the bottom pole have to be set to the same numbers. So the bottom pole has to be set to the same number as the middle pole. The locking mechanism does seem to be working just fine. Now, to get on the snow basket or mud basket, you first have to unscrew the rubber tips and then push the basket up the pole until the second set of screw threads where you can screw it on. Getting the mud basket on was a tight fit. I had to push really hard to get it on. The snow baskets were much easier to get on and off for some reason. I'm sure over time the mud baskets will loosen up and then they'll be easier to get on and off. When I measured the pole collapse to its shortest, it measured 24.5 inches from tip to tip, and then I disassembled the rods and measured again, and the longest rod was 21 inches. And here is everything all laid out. I don't know how long these will last, and if they break too soon, I will definitely reach out to the company and see if they make good on their warranty. I hope you enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching. Bye.